When you think of Chicago, food definitely comes to mind, but barbecue might not be the first thing you think of. Which is kind of crazy because historically and even today, it's one of the meatiest cities in the US. Think about it, hot dogs, Italian beef, Polish sausage, steak. So why isn't the barbecue culture here as developed as places like Kansas City, the Carolinas, or Texas? The fact is, it's a big place, there's plenty of joints doing amazing, incredible work here. So today, we're gonna travel to some of the most popular spots, check them out, taste them, eat them, talk about them, and then at the end of the video tell you which one that we like the most and why. And when I say we, I'm talking about this guy.
What's up, dude?
Joe Yim of Knox Ave Barbecue is one of the most talented people in the country doing barbecue. He would never tell you that because he's criminally humble, but I will. Joe got his start in live fire cooking as a self-taught backyard barbecue enthusiast back in the mid-2010s. And when I say start, I mean this dude literally set up a whole-ass restaurant in his backyard where friends and family would come to eat his barbecue. Word of Joe's barbecue quickly spread, and before he knew it, strangers and out-of-towners were showing up at his front door to order brisket. Once the whole home restaurant situation ran its course, Joe quit his job as a teacher and football coach to move to Austin to learn Texas-style barbecue from the masters. After a few years in Texas, he moved back here to Chicago as a bona fide professional pitmaster, and we're lucky to have him. Nowadays, you'll catch Joe consulting for barbecue restaurants, working service at barbecue joints to keep his skills sharp, and making his own educational BBQ and cooking videos / vlogs here on YouTube. Joe is a local Chicago guy with a huge breadth of knowledge about the city's barbecue scene and food culture in general. He's put in the work, his experiences down south and barbecue travels around the country make him more than qualified to take us on this meaty journey. So, let's get into stop one. Alright, we gotta talk it. Chicago-style barbecue, man. A lot of people don't know about this, but there is a unique style here. It's the tips and links, right? The hot link and the rib tips. This is traditionally coming from black neighborhoods on the south side of the city. These are people who've been making this style of barbecue for years and years using special equipment. They got these big, crazy smokers called aquarium smokers that are glass. They're honestly kind of more akin to grills than smokers in a way. You know, this isn't brisket that's been cooking for 16 hours. These are rib tips on for a couple of hours with good char.
Every place that you go to, everyone's gonna have their version of a rib or brisket or pulled pork. You don't see places doing hot links and rib tips. It's not something you typically see. So to have something that's like iconically Chicago, I think it's the coolest part of it.
So yeah, what do we got here? We got the kind of the links kind of chopped up all over, the tips chopped up all over, that bed of fries that's, to use the term again, kind of like a sauce piñata. Right? It just kind of soaks everything up, and all this sauce is like kind of this auburn red color. Oh my god, these tips are very moist. That's a good ass tip. Neckin'. Really nice cook on that. Lots of good smoke too. He said he used hickory and oak, I believe, right? We should try a link.
Cheers. That's like breakfast sausage vibe.
I was just gonna say that. Very sagey.
I would have expected there to be a little bit more oregano in there. It is spicy.
Yep,
it is a hot link.
It's got a kick to it. Try a fry.
Oh yeah. The ones that are soaked at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like chili quiles, you know what I mean? It's got some crunch, but it's got some sauce.
Yeah.
There you go. What I normally do is I'll take that. Basically, Texas fold over. Everyone talks about the pickles and onions with the slice of brisket and stuff like that, and some slaw. With barbecue, you're trying to create that cohesive bite with everything in it. I think if you're just eating meat and sauce, it can kind of get a little boring, but you stick a little fry in there for a little texture. You get a little bit of sage. You're just creating a fold over, you know what I mean?
Ooh, what a sandy.
A little bite of everything there.
Look at that glisten.
It's honestly so much better than I thought it was going to be. It works with the sausage. It's
really cool to see this style of barbecue sort of like spreading around the city, because I think it's like insanely delicious if done well, like these guys do it.
They're really good. They're really good. And, we saw on the wall there, it's like their slogan is, it's the sauce. And, I'm not saying that their rip tips are cooked
the cook is nice.
really good. fantastic. But I think when you talk about this style of barbecue, there is pride in the sauce that they're providing because they clearly spent some time making the sauce.
Definitely.
You know, that tang that you get on the nose, but it's not that tang when you eat it. It's balanced. There might not be a bunch of locations, but you'll always kind of see one kind of tucked away in certain corners, which I think it's kind of cool to see that this style of barbecue that most people don't know about do show up in places.
You can't sleep on this. If you're visiting the city or even if you live here and you've never had it, try it. You're not going to be disappointed. Stop number 2, Smoque BBQ. So we got, what do we got here today? We got our fatty brisket, mac and cheese, cornbread, a little slaw, and a couple different sauces here. Sauceless, gotta try it first, right?
Yeah. They've changed their brisket since the last time I've had it. The bark is a little less barky than it used to be. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's not as smoky as it used to be. But like before, they really lived up to the name Smoque. Felt like sometimes it was too smoky. From what I remember, like I would say their style of barbecue is keeping the brisket, the ribs dry. It's because they have the selection of sauces, they almost want you to build it however
Choose your own
you
adventure.
want. Yeah. So here the Memphis is use it on anything. This one also says
what you want to go
pork
for?
And brisket. Let's go with the Memphis. It's similar to barbecue sauce that you would get like in Chicago.
Like a, yeah, thick brown sweet.
Yeah, you know, same thing as Hecky's. It has that acidity, like acidity right in the nose. A lot of chili powder. Sweet. Oh, okay.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the spot.
It's good. Better with the sauce.
For sure.
Wow, I'm not a sauce person, but that sauce is really good on there. I would say when I ate that brisket initially, it wasn't overly smoky, it wasn't overly seasoned, it wasn't super peppery. It's just a really nice balanced vehicle for the sauce. Like I feel like this actually brings out more flavor of the brisket than when we just ate the brisket itself.
Right.
For example, anytime I used to come to Smoque, I would get the sandwich because it comes with the slaw and it comes with the barbecue sauce on it. And to me, that's my favorite way to eat Smoque specifically. You know, other places I would rather have it a little more plain, but the sauce is good, the slaw is good. Why wouldn't I eat it all in one bite?
Right.
Similar to when we did the fold over at Hecky's.
Oh, I know. The fold over, baby. I got to start incorporating more fold overs in my life and like more elements than just barbecue.
Yeah.
Like, and food. Like, what else can we fold over in this world? I don't know. Comment below. Classic spot. You know, a lot of people still in the city today, whether you're in the burbs or the city, just kind of eat all sorts of barbecue. Yeah. They're not really married to one style. The next spot we're going to is quite special. More
geared towards the type of barbecue that I'm used to cooking and eating.
Yeah, so. More on that in a second.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, I gotta ask, man, where do you think barbecue fits in Chicago's food, you know, scene, the culinary landscape here in the city?
Chicago is surrounded by a lot of barbecue culture, but we don't really have our own, other than, like you said, like the barbecue style that we had earlier with the rib tips and hot wings. And so I think that there is an open-mindedness to the barbecue that we can cook here, but these newer barbecue restaurants that are starting to pop up in Chicago, like you can see that they're taking like the chef side of things and they're really trying to focus in and make the barbecue as good as they possibly can. I wouldn't call it a barbecue town, but we love our food and we're trying to make it really good.
Right, right. There's also like the culture around barbecue isn't as developed and kind of like fit into a box of these different styles like in the South. Carolinas, Texas, you know, Kansas City, all these different places. So people can have that flexibility. So when you add a bunch of like talented creative chefs with barbecue X, whatever they want it to be, fun, delicious things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff going on here. I don't think I'm qualified to walk us through it. So we got Dave, the pitmaster here, who is?
I gave you our 3 best sellers.
Okay.
Sliced brisket, pastrami, pork ribs. They're a little saucy right now, but I kind of came up with this method where we double sauce them, and then we don't have to wrap them.
Eat enough of this, or what's good? You can bow out if you want. All right, cool, man. All right, what are we going for first? I think we do a rib.
I think you do.
I think we do a rib.
We want them kind of halfway between falling off the bone, but not falling apart.
Not steaky, not shreddy.
Yeah,
but, like
but
in the
we
middle.
don't want you tugging too hard on it.
Oh yeah.
Favorite rib in Chicago. It has like the hint that comes up. It's kind of like chili powder or something like that.
And Duroc is like nice, fatty, sweet pork.
And the bones aren't ginormous, so you don't feel full after eating one. And we're talking about rib tips earlier. We had rib tips first thing of the day, so this is where cut off the rib tip, and that's the rib that's left.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about rib culture here in the city later, but it's an interesting one, right?
Let's go brisket before it gets too oxidized.
Simple rub on the brisket, salt, pepper, coffee, and garlic, smoked paprika. But we go through about 5,000 pounds of brisket a week.
5,000 pounds a week? I mean, like...
I don't even know... Oh, yeah, that other
that thickness, too, that we gotta... Oh, that's how you know it's good. I think I want to try one of these end pieces here. Look at that fatty ass, good bark.
So compared to what we had earlier at Smoque, we talked like the bark is still soft enough, it's not super crusty, but there's still textural difference. While before there wasn't.
Killer. Try this pastrams?
Yeah, man.
Certified Angus beef prime pastrami. Pastrami rub a little more intense. Coriander, black peppercorns, white peppercorns, mustard seed, brown sugar, smoked paprika, roasted garlic.
A little more sweetness, a little more savory on there.
I say this with love. The seasoned, salty pastrami, dude.
It was great with the beer.
Like, holy sh**.
Give me a cold Pilsner in a bottle with a slice of pastrami. I'm pretty happy.
That's all you need, baby.
Yeah.
Beer snacks.
We're talking about like pepper grind and how like in Texas they always want that coarser grind to get more texture, and that's kind of what you get.
Very coarse. That rub is.
And of course you got the white bread napkins that are lined as decor in the entire restaurant.
Martin's butter bread.
We love Martin's, dude. I do. I mean, Joe's got a technique here.
You see
what do we call it? Should I practice? I don't know if I got what it takes. All right, I'm gonna try.
Oldie.
Oh, he already knows.
Is that not the best bite you've had, even though the stray is good?
No.
You get the fattiness of the beef. You get the acidic from the pickles. Creamy from the corn, which, you know,
dude, everything.
I like it.
Everything on this plate is there for a reason. It's very thoughtful and well done. Seasoned properly, looks gorgeous. I mean, this is like award-winning shit. All right, baby. Ugh, gotta love the box. This is a nice touch.
It's classic.
Carson's ribs, an absolute OG staple. I love the box. This is great for our little picnic situation we have going on right now, you know? I think I might even just take my shoes off. Who needs those? We're picnicking, bro. This is my dad's absolute favorite. Every dad where I come from probably has like a love affair with this place. Look at that, dude.
Oh, they're cut already.
I asked them to do that.
Oh. Smart move.
All right, man, grab yourself a ribby. So as you can see, these are baby back ribs, not St. Louis style, right? I'm not even sure they have St. Louis style as an option here.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Yeah. Check this out. Steak Nation, you can see your teeth marks in it. Sweeter sauce, got some tomato in there, a lot of tomato.
It's a lot thicker than the other sauces we had, but...
I like a fall off the bone rib, but I also don't feel like just because it's fall off doesn't mean it's necessarily better. Sometimes there can be a balance. This on the spectrum is very, very, very toothsome as opposed to shreddy, where the one that we had at Green Street Smoked Meats was a little in the middle, maybe leaning a little more meaty.
It eats kind of like a pork chop.
100%.
I mean,
wow.
Because that's well like... Said. That's where like the pork chop would be sitting right on top of there, like hanging it off, and they cut it off. So it's like, it's not that slow smoke, so it's soft, but it's like that grilled pork chop flavor just on the bone. You and I, when we were deciding where we wanted to take this barbecue tour, right? And when people think about barbecue, they think about ribs, especially in Chicago. But in the definition of barbecue, for me, I would not call this barbecue because it's not smoked.
Right. It's not cooked over low and slow wood and fire. It's steamed, then sauced, and then finished on the grill.
If anyone were to talk about like the fondest ribs or rib memories I have, this is it. It was like when I used to live in the city, my parents would order Carson's ribs, and then we were watching the Bulls and the Lakers playing and eating Carson's ribs. Like that's like dude, one of my favorite food memories.
That's why we're calling this like rib culture. Because people will call this barbecue maybe like out of reflex or something, but when you think about it, it's not really barbecue. But it is important here in the city because ribs, there's a long history of rib eating in this city. especially amongst like our parents' generation, but also, I mean, who doesn't love a rib? So, ribs.com, are you kidding me? They own ribs.com. That's a flex. And you can tell it's a flex because it's almost as big as the brand name itself. Oh, yeah. We got to talk about these. You said you grew up always getting the baked potato. For me, we grew up always getting these au gratins. Look at this cheesy potato, dude.
Oh my gosh, that's as much cheese as there is potato. Jeez.
I mean, a nice light side dish for your light ribs, you know? That might be the best one I've ever had. Dad, you got to come to this location.
Very cheesy.
Yeah. Carson's Ribs, baby. It's a special place. Yeah. And with that, I think we move on to the next one. What would you say like your sort of like place in like the Chicago barbecue scene is?
My main two things are pork and tri-tip. My dad was in the military. He was stationed in California. He picked up tri-tip barbecue when I was probably 2 years old, 3 years old, and I've cooked it for 40 years. Some of my first memories of work on barbecue on Weber kettles and doing events was actually cooking with my dad tri-tip. When I first started opening in Lillie's, and Lillie's got Food and Wine Best New Barbecue in the country and all that stuff, they were talking about the pork and the tri-tip.
I love that because you don't see a lot of that here in the city too.
No.
It's a lot of brisket, it's a lot of course, tips and links.
Yep.
People doing a lot of different things. You can still get great chicken, all this stuff.
Yes.
It's cool to know that these two things are your specialties because you don't really see any other places specializing in that in the city. Dude, big mustard guy. It's a little sweet, but it's got that vinegary, like that kind of almost yellow mustard, like kind of like tensing thing going on back there. And the pork, man, wow. That like that little bark on there with that kind of like more unctuous like inner part. That's
inner meat.
Inner meat. Technical term.
Technical term.
Should we raw dog this or do we need sauce?
Oh, you don't need any sauce.
I'm raw dogging
this.
That's
like high, medium, rare. Medium is the farthest I tend to go with tri-tip. Too well done, tough. Too undone, tough.
Yeah.
It's way more tender than I thought it was.
Way
Yeah.
more, way
Yeah.
more.
I don't see Umamicue as a typical barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
Like you guys cook like southern comfort food,
Yep.
and also happen to cook good barbecue alongside with it.
Yes. My whole background is super high-end fine dining, 3-star Michelin restaurants. So when I went to open Lillie's Q, I feel like I was one of the first ones that was like, no way are the sides gonna be like they are most barbecue places back in 2010. So I really focused on, hey, how do we have shrimp and grits? How do we have fried chicken? How do we have mashed potato salad with crunched potato chips on top and a little chive? How do you have stone ground grits from a small farm in South Carolina where I go boar hunting, and then we fly them up here and cook them?
That's what we're kind of talking about with like Chicago and like the cooks here. It's like it's a big city. The barbecue culture is not as developed as say Texas, Carolinas, whatever.
No.
But there's so much culinary talent here, world class, that it's like that's the type of stuff you get. And then you can also do this too. So Lillie's Q, we got to talk about your sauces, man.
Yeah.
We have a lot of them. What do we got?
All right, so obviously they're all regional from different parts of the
And you're
country.
from Carolina.
I'm originally from South Carolina, so Gold, that's my namesake, right? That's what I grew up eating. That's what I put on pork all the time, constantly. It's a mustard-based sauce. Like I said, the German settlers, they came to and settled in South Carolina. They brought their sausages and mustards, and then it turned into their barbecue sauce. Then you go up to North Carolina. You got 2 different regions in North Carolina. One, the western side of the state. This is a tomato vinegar product, super vinegar heavy, not sweet sauce, but it has a tomato product in it, i.e. ketchup, tomatoes, tomato paste. On the western side, they still cook whole shoulders, so it doesn't have as much fat as that whole pig you see. Go to the eastern side of the state, ENC, Eastern North Carolina. That's a straight vinegar and spice sauce. If you've ever seen them mopping during the cook, you could use this. Or afterwards, they pour it on after they've done their chopping. You have to cut that fat, otherwise it's just too unctuous. It's almost like brisket. It's almost too much sometimes, the fat. So they use this Eastern North Carolina vinegar-based sauce. And then we get to the Mecca style, where I cook the world championships for pulled pork.
He's a world champ. We got a world champ in our midst.
Yeah. That's a sweet, smoky sauce. So we did smoky. This is what people think is the most, if you're looking for the most traditional sauce, like a red sauce that has sweet and smoky flavor. And then we just have a hotter version with a little bit more cayenne for those people that like that extra kick and the extra spice. So hot, smoky. Lillie is actually my grandmother. She was born in 1927, so this sauce is 27. Number 40 is the highway between Chicago and Western North Carolina.
Well, thank you, bro. I appreciate this.
Oh,
This
my pleasure.
delicious.
I'm glad you could stop in. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, with that being said, I think we're ready to go to the final stop. One more. We got this. Let's go.
I'm a little spicy right now. What's up, Joe? This is the banh mi. We got our barbecue sauce. It's mayo. The pickled carrot daikon. You know, when I was eating banh mi's when I was little, what I found was like if you cut your jalapenos too thick, you get like a gnarly bite, and it's going to be pretty spicy. So we try to limit that.
Oh, that
Thanks,
cannot make it.
It's Umamicue. Umamicue. Pour one more. All right, and the last one. Just punch me in the face. All right, bro. Okay. Last stop, Umamicue, baby. Check this out. Oof. The banh mi. Brisket banh mi.
Can I say one thing about this though?
You may.
This is a foldover.
Are all sandwiches foldovers, dude? The reason we wanted to end with Charles at Umamicue is because he is a prime example of somebody doing untraditional barbecue. And he makes really, really good sort of like Asian-inspired barbecue. This is his brisket banh mi. As you can see, it's beautiful. Lots of herbaceous cilantro. We got the jalapenos, you know, everything you'd expect to be on a banh mi. He also does a smoked Rangoon, smoked egg, spring roll, egg roll situation. What else? These really good mushroom nuggies, right?
Well, he also has that Italian beef too.
That
as well,
thing
which
was
is
crazy.
Which is like a Chicago thing, but
Yeah.
again, it's still a combination of barbecue.
So he's kind
something else.
of taking his experience and the flavors that he grew up with, and kind of using barbecue as that sort of boat to take us all across the metaphorical river of deliciousness. Brisket banh mi, dude. Good
It's
idea.
a fold over.
Brisket banh mi fold over.
That's it. We've eaten so much barbecue today, but it's such a refreshing bite. It's not just a bite of brisket, you know what I mean? Where it's like super heavy and something I don't want to eat right now.
Even with the bread, which is soft and really like balanced and nice.
You know, I'm Korean. Everyone asks me when I'm gonna do like this Korean fusion with Texas barbecue. But a lot of times people want me to do something that I don't think makes the Texas side of barbecue better and doesn't make the Korean side of like Korean barbecue better, because with both things there are certain techniques that you need to have to make it work and mesh well. If not, it just kind of becomes a mess, which I think most people have issue with like fusion. This is technically fusion, but the brisket itself was cooked exactly as you would in Texas, but the sandwich is made exactly like a traditional banh mi.
I mean, he gets his bread from the Vietnamese bakery, like right down the block.
Right, and so it's like none of it, like, yes, it's fusion because it's brisket inside of banh mi, but the barbecue is barbecue and the banh mi is banh mi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no, it's not clashing in any way.
No.
It just kind of has this perfect.
They
blend
complement each
together.
other, and there's a reason why it's so popular and why people love it so much and
Yeah.
why it's so damn good. Prime example of somebody here in Chicago with skills doing real barbecue and kind of like making it their own in a way that isn't tied to the traditions of, you know, the old. It's been a long but wonderful and challenging. We're challenging our bodies today.
Feel
Day of eating.
much better than I thought I would, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
still, it's a challenge.
But the hardest part is yet to come, my friend. We need to decide which one we like the most from the day and why. So,
Well, cheers to that last decision.
before we wrap up and go over favorites here, I want to kind of just restate the obvious. Clearly, you know, this is quite literally comparing apples to oranges because we went to all these different places and got different things.
Yeah.
Some similar, but a lot different things from each of these places. So it's like comparing a, you know, a rib place to a brisket spot. It's not the easiest, most direct way to do things, but I do think that we can be honest about telling you which we enjoyed the most,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
So with that being said, what was your favorite of the day?
My favorite spot of the day is Green Street. I mean, we had brisket at multiple places.
Yeah.
They had the best brisket. We had ribs at multiple places, the best ribs. So to me, those three things like check all the boxes for me.
All right, my favorite of the day. Also Green Street. Kind of anticlimactic, but for everything he just said, I mean, everything there was just so clean, so well done. Just even looking at the different kinds of barks between the pastrami and the brisket. Also, the vibe of Green Street is just like so sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just walking into the place, I'm like, I feel like I'm walking in a tunnel getting ready for battle.
It's hard to find parking, but once you do, it's
Yeah. If you're visiting, maybe spot hero it. You know, especially if it's the weekend. You wanted to talk about your favorite bite of the day. What would that be?
Favorite bite is gonna be the brisket banh mi and Umamicue.
Heck yeah.
Because at every place that we try to go to, I try to create a foldover. To me, the banh mi is a composed foldover that was created for that purpose. Right?
100%.
It gets the smoked meats, whatever you want to put in there, and instead of pickles and onions, it's all the veg and like cilantro and all that kind of stuff. So to me, that's the bite I'm looking for every single place I go to.
Dude, get a neck tat. Foldovers are sandwiches. Sandwiches are foldovers. I don't know if it was my best bite, but something that I keep rethinking about from today was the tri-tip.
Yeah.
Because I love tri-tip. If you've been watching my videos, you know that. And I'd never had such a tender, sort of like subtle tri-tip. Because usually I'm throwing it on the grill, I'm giving it that char, that Santa Maria style. It's kind of bloody. I cut it a little coarser. This was thinly sliced, evenly cooked, very, very tender.
No fork and knife.
No fork and knife on a tri-tip. It's a sirloin, keep in mind. That means it's a little tougher. Not tough, but a little tougher. That was just very like memorable to me. Yeah, from Lillie's Q.
One of the best tri-tips ever.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also honorable mention to Hecky's.
That was gonna be mine.
Because I think, dude, those have got to be the best tips I've ever had, probably like from a restaurant.
I agree. Yeah. I think the sauce was perfect for it. The rib tips were cooked more than other people typically would, which allows you to actually take a bite and not have it like pull and be stringy.
They just did a good job, man. But we're just two guys at the end of the day. If you guys have different opinions, let us know in the comments below. If we missed a spot that you really, really love, let us know in the comments below. Maybe we'll have to run this back. There's a lot of spots here.
I mean, we had a hard time even picking the ones that we wanted to today.
Super hard time. So yeah, let us know. Check out his channel, by the way. Sick YouTube channel. If you love barbecue, he's your guy.
Just doing more cooking videos out of the backyard. I also do some videos where I do some consulting and work at some other barbecue restaurants in Texas. So if you guys want to see more behind the scenes how restaurants work and the type of work that goes into being able to talk about barbecue, definitely check those videos out. Hopefully it'll give you a different perspective.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Great day today, man.
I don't know why we haven't become friends sooner than this, but yeah, it's been great.
I think that's all we got. So until next time, give him a little peace sign and jiggle wave. Yeah.